Hi, I'm Suki. Welcome to Getting Psychic, where you can listen to me use myself to test the theory that anyone can get psychic. Hello and welcome to Getting Psychic. I'm your host Suki, and I am here today with another riveting solo episode. I've heard that some of you freaks actually like my episodes where I just talk to myself. So thanks for that. Really appreciate it. I've got quite a lot of psychic updating to do today, I think, and I'm really excited about it. I'm coming off of, I don't know, what seems to be astrologically aligned as post-eclipse vibes. I feel like the best way that I've heard it described was that between these past two September eclipses, it was sort of like walking through a hallway. Like everything was just kind of like muted and like, ugh. And I usually feel this really strong sense of invigoration and excitement during this time of year. I feel like it's the turning point of the fall equinox. And I think it doesn't hurt that all of my astrological signatures are basically in this one part of the chart. Like my chart is one of those charts that looks like a bowl. So I'm a Virgo, Leo moon, Libra rising. And there's tons of stuff in Virgo. So usually September is like a wow, like really wild, energetically impactful time of year for me. And I was anticipating that. And my birthday came and went. And it just felt like flat. And it has nothing to do with my birthday. It's just sort of like my body's attuned to this time of year for some weird reason. So as predicted, I woke up this morning and it was like I walked out of that hallway. It was like a limbo. And I'm just like, boom. And I'm feeling that excitement and I'm feeling movement and I'm making things happen. And it feels really good. So I feel like I'm back in charge. And then there's lots of wild things happening. Well, I'll follow through with this thought because I think it's very funny that I went out to dinner with my husband on my birthday to this amazing restaurant. And so dessert came and I made a birthday wish and blew out a candle and I started laughing and he's like, what's so funny? And I said, you're never going to guess in a million years what my birthday wish was. And I was like, it was 3 words. And he starts making some guesses. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to tell you what my birthday wish was. And I said, total compliance now. That was my wish, not because I'm psychotic, but because I had a conversation with Todd Bryson, who's actually been on this podcast twice now. And it felt so freakishly aligned. I felt very aligned with these concepts that I've been applying them, and it's wild. So I want to share them with you. So basically, moving away from a place of begging for your manifestations or wishing for what you want to come through or honoring your guides and your higher self as if they're not your equals. So his messaging when I was talking to him a few weeks ago was command the field. And remember that it's extremely important to see every synchronicity from the field as a sign of compliance. It's not a cute gift. It's not an angel number, although call it whatever you want. I don't care. But it's not a synchronicity just to give you a nudge that you're on the right path. It is the field showing you that it is complying to your demands. And seeing it that way creates somewhat of a earth-shattering shift. I mean, I've just been walking around like a boss who says total compliance now is their birthday wish. But he said that it's really important for you to remember that when you see those things, don't write them off as coincidences. And listen, I'm cynical despite how the fact that this podcast exists. I only buy into things that energetically align. So even if someone who I love and respect is telling me something, if it doesn't hit me, or if it's not the right time for it to strike a chord with me, I don't absorb it. But this particular messaging really struck a chord. And so walking around and being sure to say, instead of saying, oh, yeah, well, I'm seeing 3 vehicles in front of me at the same time that all have repeating numbers on them. I could easily just toss it aside as a coincidence, like we all could. But instead, the directive is to just be like, cool, noted. That is definitely a message for me. And that is a sign of compliance from the field. And it's important. So since this has come into my awareness and I've been utilizing it and just super bossy yet respectful with the field, constant things have been happening. There was one circumstance where I was driving to pick up my kids from school, and I was driving over basically a shortcut to behind their school. I drove over a road that led onto an on-ramp to the highway. So I do this every day, but there was a car making a super weird turn and came very close to jackknifing my car, but I swerved a little bit and drove. But I could feel the energy coming from the vehicle, and they were displeased. I don't think that I was at fault, but it didn't matter. And they were tailing me really close and fast. And I was like, oh God, I've heard of things like this going really wrong. So I just said, I think I yelled protection now. And at that instant, and I fucking felt it. I meant it. I was not kidding. At that instant, they swerved to the left and went down an alley. And I could be like, oh, that was a cool coincidence. But there's been so many circumstances since then that align with me being a boss or react to me being a boss, that I'm choosing to take credit for it. Also, why not? You're living many parallel lives right now. If this is coming into your awareness in this one, at least take the opportunity to be a boss, because you might be a boring wimp in like 5 other ones. Somebody's got to take charge. So let's do it. Merely because you're hearing this and you were meant to. But again, reminder, it is very important to see every synchronicity from the field as a sign of compliance and not a cute gift. Why? I believe because the energy generated from that awareness cycles back and creates more energetic strength behind all of your commands. And I do all of this with love and respect. Of course, I'm not just like, I'm a dictator of my minions now. There's a lot of gratitude and love, but it is a beautiful opportunity, especially for a lot of women, to engage in that type of behavior. So I have launched SourcePoint Therapy. I'm doing it in person and remotely. I can put a link, but I actually just set it up so that you can book it through my spa's website just to keep it streamlined, because that's where I do the in-person sessions. There's not a ton of opportunities to get sessions because I'm so busy. I have a note on the website that says just email, and generally we can work something out. I just did a session this morning that was extremely profound and beautiful. And I gotta say, I think that there is really something to knowing nothing about a person, not knowing them in normal life, that really opens up beautiful messaging. And with this particular client, they asked if they could record the conversation that we had afterwards. And I said, well, you totally can. I have no problem with that. Although I can't tell you that there will be any point to that, because it's not really a psychic reading. And the objective of this energy work on my part is to really get out of the way. Now, if things sneak through, and I'm purposefully trying to not receive and interpret messaging, but if things sneak through, I'm happy to share them with you. And so, of course, they did. And they were really beautiful and impactful. And I don't understand how anyone does any readings ever without crying, because that seems to be what I do. I'm just very grateful. So, totally plugging away at getting psychic. It's all working. Or no. But if you're called to book a session, be my guest. It is beautiful work. And as with any type of energy healing, there are moments when I am forced to go off the grid. So I might have to change the verbiage on the website, because it's like SourcePoint Therapy, TM, which I've studied deeply. But there's always at least one point during a session where they're just screaming to go off script. And so it's kind of has to be like energy work plus SourcePoint Therapy. I think I'm going to have to change it to that, because it's a foundational tool and it's amazing, but there's a little bit more to it. So let's see. What do I have for updates? My next interview will be with Dana Kipple about her new book, A New Force, Plasma, Consciousness, and the New Human Potential. And I don't know if any of you follow Dana on social media. That's how I discovered her. But I think that it's going to be a really fun conversation. Although the book is massive, and there's no chance I'm going to be finishing it by the time that we do the interview. So since the last time I talked to you, my friend sent me this video that really stuck out to me. It was kind of like talking to Todd last, like all of the directives that he had that really like screamed in my face. This video that this woman, Latha J, posted. It's at Latha underscore J underscore at Instagram, at least. I'm going to see if I can reach out to get her on the show, because not only is she beautiful, but her energy is beautiful and she's got incredible things to say. So my friend sent this short video about the chakras, and she was talking about how they all have friends. And I've never heard it put into this context before. First, you sort of, on one's education of the chakras path, first you learn that they exist. Second, you learn what each one is supposed to be responsible for. Third, you learn which ones that feel blocked or obstructed to you, or which ones you're naturally drawn to. Maybe eventually you start to think about them all as a circuit and realize that they all are in fact connected and they're really important together and you can't just pick one. Like, I feel like there was a time within the past few years where I was like, oh, well, my childhood was traumatic, so I really have to spend a lot of time focusing on my sacral chakra. Or I don't care. I'm here to be psychic. I really only care about my third eye. Well, unfortunately, it's not exactly how it's going to work. But this woman, Latha, was explaining the friendships between certain chakras. And I loved it so much. And I hope you do too. So she talked about the connection between the crown and the root. It's like there's like an arc between them and they're holding hands. And then there's a connection to the third eye and the sacral. And then there's a connection between the throat and the solar plexus. And then there's the heart sort of holding it all together. And it made so much fucking sense to me that I shrieked when I saw the video. And I've sent it to tons of people. Just thinking about the connection between my third eye and my sacral chakra, or my throat and my solar plexus, which, the solar plexus is like a center for manifestation and making things happen. And what's important in that? Having a voice, using your voice. I would say even commanding the field, making the field your bitch. However you like to say it. I see the connection and I feel the connection, and I recommend trying to do some meditations where you create that bridge mentally and see where that leads you. Because I think it's been really uplifting and rapidly removing obstacles. When my friend sent it, she was super validated in finding it, because she had it had come to her in readings on her own, like, move the energy of this chakra down to this chakra and this will happen. So yeah, I think it's fun to play around with joining the energies and even dragging them around. Click and drag, see what happens. Report back. Okay, so one of the reasons why this podcast exists at all is because of my intuition. And over time, it's been revealed to me that what I've probably always been working with is clairknowing or claircognizance, where an understanding or a statement or a concept just goes bloop, drops into my head. And it's such a tricky one. It's such a tricky quote unquote clair to navigate because it's easy to want to claim it as a thought. But I'm starting to learn the texture and the quality of the claircognizance. Of course, as with anything, if you pay attention to it, it becomes refined over time. And also, as you know, my path towards unlocking my psychic abilities more and more has never been able to be just that. It's not like you can choose one small muscle to build without affecting other parts of your body. So, like I've said before, the pursuit of getting psychic will always be a healing endeavor, whether you freaking like it or not. You can't escape peeling back the layers of your energy and healing on this path. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of psychics with a lot of trauma. We're all always healing. No one's done. But the psychic journey is a healing journey. And I was super excitedly explaining to my friend in one of those rare moments of reflection where you can stop and take inventory of where you have actually landed and how far you've come. And I said, I'm really fucking proud of myself. I took this day off of work, and my partner and I went to a normal bakery and got a croissant. And now I'm going to sit in a park and eat it and celebrate how much healing that I've done. And that may sound like no big deal to most people, but my health journey is part of what brought me here. And I haven't eaten gluten in 23 years, strictly, because when I was in my early 20s, I was in a place where I remember saying that I would rather die than live the way that I was, because I wasn't myself. I was just a shell. And my brain was swollen. And I didn't have peripheral vision, and my speech was slurred. And eating gluten was the contributing factor to that, which is pretty wild. So, needless to say, once I finally, on my own, because no doctor at that time, even though I was going to a doctor a week for many, many months, helped me. So I self-diagnosed and I got myself off of gluten strictly and vowed to never go back. And I'm not saying go eat gluten, but over the years, my diet got progressively more restricted. And I also think that those restrictions were not promoting health. I think those restrictions were damaging energetically and mentally. And over the past few years, I've slowly just lifted them and lifted them and lifted them and lifted them. I'm going to maintain a gluten-free diet because it's healthier in America. But if I can go to a place that mills their own grains and eat a normal croissant and have zero negative effects after going through the food trauma that I went through and the social trauma that came as a result, that's a huge win. And so this isn't a prescription for anyone, but this is my story. And I realized after spending some time even being completely grain free, I think I was like I don't even know what they call this stuff anymore, but I was like autoimmune paleo diet. And I wasn't even eating rice. So completely grain free, just kind of like meat and vegetables. And it's really weird because I look at pictures of myself and I looked really inflamed. Like I didn't have eyelids. Like I already have hooded eyelids, but they were completely like they looked like my eyelids were just like completely hanging over my eyes and I looked swollen. And I attribute it all to this path. The looking inward, the looking at my chakras, the meditating. And I've added 99.9% of the things that I eliminated for the sake of health back into my diet. And weirdly, I noticed all of a sudden that I have eyelids. So, but the point of that is I think that something energetically shifted, and I don't know how adding all sorts of things back into my diet reduced inflammation in my face, but it sure shit did. So there you go. It's basically just a case for healing, but don't follow my path. Trust your own instincts. Because if someone told me 4 years ago, oh yeah, you're going to try to eat a regular croissant, I would have told them to fuck off and die. Which is pretty extreme. That's like how I talk to the field. So here we are. It's not going to be like a reintroduction lifestyle thing, but maybe if I lived in Europe, it would be. Anyway, so I'm talking about claircognizance and how I receive it. I went on a bit of a tangent. So I'm telling my friend, I'm taking this rare moment to observe me in this now moment and celebrate how far I've come. And I'm so proud of the healing that I've done. And as I'm saying this, I hear, and you're not done yet. And I was like, yeah, okay, way to put me in my place. Can I have 1 second to celebrate? But I found humor in that too, obviously. Because if you don't laugh, then what's left? You gonna cry? Yeah, so I'm not done yet. We're never done. But enjoy the wins, even if your guidance is gonna remind you while you're still celebrating, it doesn't matter. But it helps to figure out the quality of the claircognizance. It's almost like my thinking comes from the center of my brain or the front part of my face and head, and the claircognizance gets dropped in the back door. My friend and I always talk about our mailboxes. Oh yeah, I think I got that from the biofield tuning woman, Eileen Day McCusick, in one of her biofield tuning books about the mailbox. And I've totally adopted it because it makes perfect sense for that form of claircognizance. And sometimes when I'm meditating, I say, I'm opening my mailbox. So FYI, I'm ready. I also have a little bit of clairaudience. But did I ever tell you guys about the one most profound version of clairaudience that I experienced? I may have in an earlier episode with Claire, but it was just so insane that it's worth repeating, because it's like one of those things, like once you start experiencing stuff like this, no one can tell you shit. It's like, yeah, cool. You think that the world is flat and there's no such thing as psychic ability? I don't care. I'm living it. But so many, many years ago, way before I started digging into this side of myself, my intuition was always important. Definitely from as early as I can remember. But at this time, I think I was like 25, 26, and I met my husband, Robert, and then I had a crush on him and like tried to bump into him again for like an entire year. And on this day, I was hanging out at a place across the street from where I used to work with some friends, and he walked in, and I'm like, yes, he's here. So we're hanging out, and I'm talking to him, and it's clear that we both wanted to be in each other's presence. And I'm standing there face to face having a conversation with him, and I hear in my right ear, "You're going to marry him." And I go, "Ugh!" And I start uncomfortably laughing. And he says, "What?" Because I was clearly reacting to something. And I said, "Nothing." And I thought to myself, I'm never going to fucking tell him this. Uh, and I've come to realize that that was 100% either. I mean, it was me. It was a version of me. It was my higher self or a future version of myself that 100% decided that it would be a fun thing to do to pop into that timeline and say that loud and clear in my ear. And it was so clear and undeniable that I obviously talk about it, or that I talk about it and remember it vividly to this day. And I also had a couple little bouts of clairaudience after I had babies, which is really interesting. And I think there's something about the energy of giving birth that kind of puts you into a different place. And I woke up constantly hearing different people in my life saying my name. And then occasionally I would wake up hearing voices I didn't recognize say my name. I think that's a common occurrence. If that's happened to you, text the Getting Psychic hotline. You can find it wherever podcasts are sold. No, you can get it wherever you listen to your podcast. But I don't exactly know why that's such a common thing. But if it's happened to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know how weird it is. And undeniable. Like, there's no being like, oh, I guess that was just in a dream. There's not a chance. All right, I'm going to try to do something weird and force my sister, who lives in Italy, to be on the podcast by calling her on the phone right now. Because I want her to tell you a story about what she just chose to do for her birthday. Please hold.
Hello.
Ciao.
Ciao.
What?
I said bonsoir.
Oh. Okay, so I'm in the middle of recording an episode of Getting Psychic.
Yeah.
And you're on it right now.
What? I'm in my bathtub.
Well, I mean, nobody has to know that. Now they do.
Oh, now they do. Okay.
Okay. So, live from Florence, Italy, my sister's naked. I want you to tell the Getting Psychic audience what you chose to do for your birthday this weekend, and I want to talk about why it was particularly profound because of who you are. So, tell us what you did.
I went to southern France to Mary Magdalene's cave. And before going, I was reading a book about her gospel. Can't think of the title right now, but it's by Megan Watterson. And she mentions on her trip to visit Mary Magdalene's cave, a woman she met in France told her about the cave of eggs. So I immediately freaked out and started looking up this cave of eggs, and I knew that was the real reason why I had to go. So I was gonna go.
Okay, so wait, why do you think you were drawn to the cave of eggs? But don't they also call it the vagina cave or something?
The yoni cave, yeah, because it's shaped like a vagina. So it was Mary Magdalene's cave is basically turned into a church. Like they have church in there, and it's taken care of by monks or men. I don't know. I didn't feel like I was going to have a huge, profound thing when I went there because of what it is. It's like when we went to Assisi and we went to the church, and it's this big, huge, expensive, luxurious place.
Yeah.
But St. Francis didn't care about that. He tried to get away from it by going to be a hermit on the mountain.
Yeah.
And where he was a hermit ended up being the more profound place to be, more special. So, yes, where do I begin?
So I want to talk about how and why. I mean, I'm already 44 into this episode. So
that's appropriate.
So we must acknowledge the field is complying. But so I'm not going to, you don't have to take all day, but I do want to touch on the fact that for some weird reason, you chose to spend 3 days surrounding your birthday driving. How long was your drive to France from Florence?
It's 6 hours without stops, so it took me like 7.
Okay, so you drove 7 hours by yourself to stay alone, and I think probably for the first time in your life, like planned a solo trip. And to me, from my perspective as your big sister, I was like, holy shit. I think I told you I was proud of you like 50 times.
Yeah, and it felt funny because I was scared shitless.
But that's why I was so proud of you.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I know, like we came from the same place, and I know what you were up against energetically and emotionally, and like, and I know that like you held on to this sort of like fear of the dark and the night and being alone into your adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, why do you think that you chose to do this? Was it a healing mission? Was there thought behind it? Or was it just following and knowing?
It was following and knowing, and then it took shape after that. So a series of synchronicities made me know I had to go and made me know I had to do it on my birthday, which I later found out fell between the eclipses. So I thought that was appropriate.
Yeah.
And then I realized before leaving that this was about conquering my fears, which on the Virgo new moon before the first solar eclipse, I had done a manifestation thing, burned a paper that said, I'm ready to get over my fears.
Yeah.
Or ready to face my fears. So I knew that this was about facing my fear, being alone and at night and in the dark and in a cave in the dark.
You really went for it.
I didn't know that was going to happen, but it did. So I just got to work planning, and when I booked the room I was going to stay in, I had a full-on panic attack. I was with my friends, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Got filled with anxiety, like, is this the right decision? I'm like, I know I have to do it. I just know I have to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. And there was a whole ordeal about how I was going to get there. My car wouldn't make the trip, but I ended up renting the car. The money arrived to be able to do it, and I just knew it was all meant to be. So
okay, so what is the takeaway?
You and I were talking about a conversation that you had with Todd.
Okay.
And about commanding the field. So that inspired
me to... You'll laugh when you hear the beginning of this episode.
Okay.
Okay, proceed.
So I decided to try to command the field, and it worked. But literally the next day after you told me that, I was talking to a dad at dropping my kids off at school, and he said the same thing about commanding the field, and I freaked out because you had just said that to me and using those exact words. But,
weird.
But anyway, he said basically the same thing. So
I gotta tell you, when you texted me, you were like, oh my God, I just talked to one of the spiritual dads at school, and he said that commanding the field. And I was like, wait, you have spiritual dads at your school?
I have spiritual people everywhere I go. I literally pull it out of them. He's kind of an obvious one, but for some reason, everyone I talk to has a spiritual side. They just don't share it with the world. So I don't know if it's, I'm just drawing all these people to me. I literally like don't have a friend I can't talk to about my weird stuff.
The spiritual underbelly of Florence.
Yeah. Even my bar is in cafe right below my house, believes in aliens and stuff, so we talk about it, but we have to get hush-hushes and those other customers come in.
Oh my God.
It's so funny. Anyway, commanding the field. So I commanded that my shoes that I had ordered that I wanted for my trip arrive on the day before I leave, and they did instead of 3 days later. And then I said, okay, I'm commanding that my car rental is not going to be more than I'm hoping to pay, and it wasn't. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to feel peace at night when it's time to sleep, and I'm going to feel peace when I'm alone in the cave, and I'm just not going to be afraid. And it worked.
Wow. Well, knowing you, I know I told you this 50 times already, but I'm so proud of you for doing that.
Did I tell you I was talking to Mom and Dad last night, and you know how Dad is, and he was like, I'm proud of you, hon. That was really brave. I'm proud of you, hon.
Oh my God. Oh, good. Yeah. Yep.
But I wasn't alone. And even before I left, I pulled a card for myself that was the guardian angel card, and basically saying you're never alone. And so I knew I had a team behind me the whole way. And of course, a bunch of magical things happened. The people they put in my path, and how it all played out.
Yeah. Well, I know that there were amazing stories and you met amazing people and you went deep into the cave all by yourself and you sat there and even turned your light off and all sorts of crazy stuff. But if you had to say right now, is there a bookend to this? Is there an end to this story, or is it evolving or unfolding? Was there like I went, I saw, I conquered something, and now I'm home? Or was it just a step in your path?
Gosh, I think it's a step, but I do kind of feel like I conquered something. I mean, you know me, I've been terrified of the dark and the night and being alone, even in my own bedroom, in my own house, for my whole life.
Yeah.
Even as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
before I had kids and my husband had to go out of town, I would have a hard time sleeping alone in the house. So I do feel like I conquered something, and this is only the beginning to opening up my gifts more, because I'm even afraid to see things. I feel energies all the time, but if I was to see them, I've always been afraid of seeing them. But
yeah. Oh, by the way, I can link your website, but Liz, who I just hoisted onto this call, Elizabeth, is a medium, and you also do you do like energy healing, or just do you do mediumship readings, or what?
A little bit of everything. So card readings are basically also mediumship readings, and that's something I realized along the way, that connecting to your loved ones or connecting to your guides, or just doing the cards and not even saying I'm connecting to any of them. Actually, I'm always connecting to them. So it's kind of like a mishmash of all that, and energy healings as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing that I can't do. Is like connect to, at least as far as like my own perception goes, I'm not connecting to people's loved ones. Not yet.
Of course you are. You just don't realize it.
All right. Well, thank you for humoring me and talking to me from the bathtub. But I just
dropping in on my bath time.
No problem. What time is it there?
It's 9:29.
Okay, perfect. I figured if I get you on the podcast, there's no room to be nervous or have anticipation if I just bombard you with it. So
yeah, because I also usually have throat chakra issues and cannot speak in front of cameras or people in general.
There you go. See, we're all healing.
Yes.
All the time. God damn it. All right. Well, this seems just kind of like an extension of your trip. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay. Talk soon.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Yeah.
All right. There you have it, kids. I think I'm going to call it. And don't forget, I'll put links to things that I talked about in the notes. You can book your SourcePoint. You could even book a session for my sister to talk to dead people. Interesting. Love you. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss a new episode. If you liked today's episode, please consider leaving a review to help the other psychics find their way here.